Cheryl here with heArt Studios. I want to thank you again for coming back for a continuation on our series with heArt Studios. We're interviewing artists from across the country, trying to get more information about why they got involved in art, how it has served them, and how they're using it to serve others. But before we jump in with our guest today, I'd like to invite our founder, Amanda, to tell us a little bit about heArt Studios.
Yes, thank you all for joining us again. I'm sure most of you know what heArt Studios is, but if not, just a little bit about what we are. We are a studio, an actual physical space that exists to break the generational cycles of abuse and trauma by transforming the heart through creative expression. So we are bringing together all different realms of art. You're thinking filmmaking, photography, fashion, floral design, graphic design, any piece of artistic expression you can think of, we are housing under one roof as a way for youth that have been impacted by domestic abuse and trauma to come in and have a safer means to share their stories. Each artistic genre is going to resonate with their individual heart health. And so we want to just shine a light on what the arts look like in America or around the world. So we have Dan, our amazing photographer, with us today, and I can't wait to just hear a little bit more about his story. And Cheryl's going to lead us off in asking him some questions.
Yes, Dan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's exciting to see your face on here. Your talent is incredible. I've admired your work for quite some years. Now, of course, the audience always wants to know, starting off, who is Dan Henry?
Well, goodness. Well, it's great to see you as well, and thank you for having me. So I'm a photographer based out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I was in the news business for a long time, for a little over a decade, and started my own business full-time about 3 years ago. So just been having fun shooting and learning how to be a solopreneur. So that's a little bit about me, I guess. As far as fun recreational things, I enjoy being outside. So anything activity based, I do something every day. So it could be paddling, stand up, or I could be running trails, or a little bit of everything. I enjoy the diversity. So.
Yes, I love that you have a bike rack right against your wall. You're inspiring me to get out in the spring weather for sure. All right. Well, that's
got to make it easy to get to, right? So yeah.
You won't lose it there. So another question for you. I'm curious, being involved in different arts that you are, what initially got you interested in the arts? Obviously there's photography, but if you are involved in other arts, you're welcome to talk about those as well. But what really drew you in to begin with?
I guess I didn't realize that it was going to be a career for quite a while, but I have always been interested in the arts. I think growing up, having the privilege of going to extracurricular art classes and just learning pottery and learning drawing and being able to experience a lot of different varieties eventually brought me to what I do now. But I've included all of the things that I've ever learned in that. A lot of the things are cross-platformed. So you learn things about perspective, or you learn things about light or shading, and so it all plays together throughout every medium. So,
Dan, that's incredible. I love that you said it. One form kind of crosses the barrier across all forms, and that's a huge goal of what we are looking to meet at the studio, is being able to collaborate within one space. So you think of the art studio where somebody is, like you said, pottery making or drawing, but they can shoot across the hall and run into the video room to get somebody to collab with them and create something really specific. And so that's a huge passion of mine. I was never an artist by trade. I would sing in the shower really loud. I'm the one driving my car and singing at the top of my lungs. I was in theater for a little bit, and I, dance in my living room. But at the end of the day, my passion just comes from how art is used as an expressive form. And back about 15 years ago, I was able to just see some really hard stories for children that were involved in domestic abuse situations, using theater or drama or dance to share their stories. And that's when I became passionate about it. I was probably 18 or 19 years old when I started witnessing these stories. So that brings me to just kind of ask you, what makes you passionate about either being a photographer or involved in the other genres that you're involved in? What's your biggest draw to it?
I think it's the variety, being able to do something that that's never monotonous. It challenges me every day. I've been a professional photographer since 2001. And so I've had a lot of years of learning things. I learn something new every day. I think just the ability to always be growing is probably the thing that I'm most passionate about with the arts in general. And that's just in one medium, learning video, or I still do a little graphite drawings and, stuff like that. So I just trying to find it's not something you can ever perfect. It's something that you can progress with for your entire life. So you can start when you're a kid, and you can continuously be better and better throughout your entire life. So.
I love that, because as a perfectionist, I say by trade, that's really something to keen in on to maybe other artists out there or other kids that are thinking that it's got to be perfect before they're able to finish. And you think of art and it's so subjective and objective, and one person's perfection is another person's, work in the making. And so that's such a good tip, even for business professionals, is that you're never going to be perfect, but it's still art. And I love that. So thank you for sharing about that.
So you started in 2001. That's 20 years being involved in this. I'm sure you've got some stories in there. I'd like to know how you have used art to either express yourself, heal yourself, or make yourself a better person.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about something recent. We've had the pandemic the past year, and I actually just picked back up into drawing within the past year, and it's something that I hadn't really touched since I was in college. Which we're not going to talk about years, but it's been a minute. So it's something that you can. It allows you to escape your immediate space. You can. It's almost like meditative. You can. When you really focus on one particular thing, like drawing or painting or any other art or photography, it kind of moves aside all the things that could be troubling you in your life at that moment. And so I'm able to do something very similar with activity. If you go out and you go for a long run, you're able to do clear your mind a little bit, but art does the exact same thing for me. And it's you can just focus in and clear your mind that way. So
from what I'm hearing from you, it sounds like during the pandemic, drawing became a renewed way to process what's happening for you and almost provide you an outlet or therapy in a subliminal way for you to escape or even deal with your emotions in a healthy way.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And that's not even my primary medium, but the reason that I chose that is because it didn't feel like work. Mm-hmm. And so being a photographer, I shoot photos all the time and I love what I do, but sometimes it feels a little bit like work. So I don't utilize that medium as often recreationally. And so working on like drawing or just something that's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it still has similar, implications. Like it was really helpful for me to create that, to have that set aside time and to designate that every day and to be like, okay, I'm going to work on this and see if I can progress. And man, I wasn't as good as I thought I was. But it is what it is, right? So, but it allows me to see something, and then you have the progression, just as photography over the 20 years, I've been able to see how I used to shoot. And I used to think I was decent. Now I'm like, man, that stuff's rough. And now it's a lot better. But I can still progress. Whereas the drawing stuff is the same way. You can flip through your pages and say, okay, look at that. I've learned from this and I see where I've progressed. And it's also a visual reminder of where you were in your life, almost like a diary. So. Mm-hmm.
Gosh, what a cool, just image to think how the kids could use that at the studio. And I'm thinking that you say progression, to see where they would come to us with such trauma and such need for therapy to start, and then see the progression, you know, as they go through the program, and whether it be, you know, till they graduate or they phase out of the system, that progression is so vital. So they know where they started and see where their healing has taken them. And, you know, one of our goals is to be an after school program so that we can provide that safe space during hours where they might end up in an unsafe place at home or on the street or wherever it may be. But, you know, we can't hold them overnight, but what can we give them to bring back to their environment that might not be the safest place for them? How much more portable is a piece of paper and a pencil? And so that is such a good, I guess, little nugget to hold on to, that it's such a way, you said it perfectly, to escape. And, you know, obviously I'm not preaching escape your problems. We all have to deal with what's in our lives and our environment. But when it is a scary and unsafe environment for a child, they need a safe space. And you said it so perfectly that it's relevant now, today, during the pandemic. There are kids that aren't able to go to school right now, you know, and so they're stuck in their homes, and that's a really scary space to be in. And so through the eyes of a lens, or through, you know, a pencil and paper or paintbrush, we're hoping to give them that outlet. And I just love that you're speaking my language, Dan.
I thought it was really interesting that you said it's like a diary when you look back and you see where you were. Even, you know, sometimes when I look at my own art, I used to draw as well. I can feel the emotions that I was experiencing during that period of my life that have absolutely nothing to do with the art itself, but just looking at the art, I connect so much with that period of my life and what I was going through and the hardships I was going through. And really how that art was able to bring some sort of resolution for me and my emotions in difficult times. So I love that you said that it was like a diary, because I've never thought that before, but how true is that? It's so true. I just looking at a piece of my own art, I can remember I was this age going through this experience, feeling these different emotions and these difficult times. And it's incredible what that brings you back to. So what a great analogy. Thank you. That's such a great analogy. I know that's going to help. It's going to help some kids out there. And speaking of which, I would love to know how you've used art to help other people. It could be any type of art, helping them any type of way.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm going to transition back to what I do full time, because I've been talking about drawing a lot. And that's not my thing, but
sure.
But yeah. So the photography side of stuff, I'll tell you, working in news for a long time was great to be able to be a part of the community and to share things that were happening within a community with people that may not have seen that directly, you know. But then transitioning to freelance, it's become much more direct. So now I'm working, and instead of wondering if people had seen the imagery, or maybe it'd be a little bit less personal interaction, the photography that I do now is directly impacts a business, allowing them to sell the products and their livelihood, or it directly impacts if I shoot a wedding, it's a moment of a couple's life, and showing the family that come together, and typically like the images of the people that are in it, like maybe even the grandparents. It could potentially be the last photos they have of them, or it could be like something that they share with their grandkids. You know, it's really, it means a lot to be able to have that personal connection with clients. But one particular story I could share is I had a mutual friend reached out and told me that one of their friends was about to lose their pet. And so they ended up booking a session for this young lady and her dog to have some portraits done of them. And she didn't know that it was going to happen, and they surprised her with it, and they had me go out. And so I was able to spend some time with them and get some photos with the young lady and her dog, and we did a whole session, and it was a lot of fun. And she lost her dog maybe just like a week later. It was way quicker than we expected. And you know, I think that those photos, something that it was a way for multiple people to come together, like for the friend to share to book it for her, so she didn't have to worry about any of the financials. And then for me to just have met this, wonderful woman and get to meet her and her beloved dog, and like then being able to have something that she's family members reached out and they had prints made for her. And there's another coworker actually reached out and had a print made to go with a poem that he wrote. So like all these different mediums come together between like poetry and photography and friendship, and it's just art allows you to have that conglomeration of different people coming together for a general theme of just caring for each other. So it was that was a really touching moment that happened within this past year. So it makes me really happy to be able to have a career and also be able to use art for potentially bettering other people's lives, because it betters mine. So
yeah, I can see that. I can see you're so passionate about that. And especially with photos, I think that you kind of have a unique situation on your hands in that what you create, you're capturing a moment that is preserved for all time. And really all art does that. All art does that. But photography in particular is one of my favorites for that very reason. You're holding on to things that will be lost in an instant otherwise. And so I think it's such a special art that you get to take part in. And I'm trying to learn myself. Hopefully I'll be able to take photos like you one day as well. But to me, it's just incredible. It's so beautiful how even just that small act serves someone for a lifetime. You're preserving things for a lifetime for that person. And you really can't put a price on some of these photos. You really can't. You absolutely can't. So I'm very proud of you and what you do. So in general, though, I know you as a friend, and I know that you're always helping and serving others, and even outside of art, right? Even in so many other areas of life. How has serving your community, serving others, how has that been a blessing to you just in general in your life?
I think I touched on it a little bit, but just being able to become something outside of yourself, and whether it be leading, introducing somebody to a sport that they hadn't been in, or helping them like find passion in nature, or I just recently had a college student reach out and was looking for a film camera, and so I happened to have one hanging around, so was able to get him his first film camera, and like he's been messaging me asking me, oh man, I had no idea like what all these things did, and so he's seeing life through a different lens. Everything from recreation to work to I just really appreciate other humans in my life, and I like so if it's something in any way I can help, I don't have a regular thing that I do every week to help somebody, but if somebody needs words of encouragement, then I try, and I see that, maybe on social, I try to interact with people, somebody different every day, and just reach out and say, hey, because I know I need that as well. And so typically a lot of the things that I do are things that I would like to have in my life. And so it all becomes reciprocal, the more that I'm able to give to others, I feel like I receive in the same way. So
that's really good. I love that. I think we all need to just take a moment and do that. We all just need to reach out to people. We're getting so lost behind our screens. We're getting so lost in our own homes. We're getting so lost in just this craziness that the world's in right now. And you never know where someone's at. And so I love that about you, about that you do that, is that you just take something once a day and reach out to somebody different. And what you usually, give, you get in return. And so that's a big piece that I think our society is missing today. And so with that, what would you do? What would you say if you could reach out? If you could reach out either to be your 12-year-old self back in the day before Dan knew he was going to be a photographer by trade, what would you tell somebody that might be looking at getting into the same line of work, the same industry as you? What kind of advice would you give them, or, the younger Dan?
Yeah, sure. younger Dan probably wouldn't have listened to me. So we're going to go with somebody else. We'll go with a much more responsible, studious student now. But, you know, I think that as far as where I'm at now, I never expected to be here. And so I think that the best advice would be to not hold yourself down to what you think your path will be, and to allow it to be, unfold organically. And you know, like, honestly, every day is different for me. Like, I try to wake up and do the best that I can with what I've been given, and be thankful that I've woken up, period. I had a cycling coach once that said, you woke up today, everything else is a bonus, you know? And so, you know, I think about that, and I think about, if I had like a 5-year plan, then I would be disappointed, or I would not have been able to allow myself to, that's not saying don't have a plan. Now, you know, that's what I'm saying, but also just don't hold yourself down to it. And if there is some opportunity that comes along, or if you become discouraged and you're not able to do the path that you think you're going to do. I originally thought that I was going to do graphic design. Actually, I originally thought that I was going to do architecture, and the math kicked my butt, and it was not going to happen. And so I just changed schools, and I thought that was going to be my artistic expression, was through creating structures. But that wasn't my path. And so I went to University of Georgia and ended up going into the art school, and they make you try lots of different mediums. And so I was trying different things, and I ended up excelling in photography, and I had like a lot of encouragement through my professors there. And so I actually was a fine art was my focus in college. And then I found through a roommate journalism. And so that I ended up doing journalism as a minor, and I had shot some photos for him for a newspaper. And so it's just weird. Like, you think that you have a path, and if I was to like beat myself up about it and like force myself to have done architecture, I probably wouldn't be as happy as I am now. So
that's really good. We've been hearing that a lot. Just ebb and flow, be flexible. And that's such a symbolic representation of what art is in general, is just, you know, don't hold yourself down to what you expect your piece is going to look like at the end. Let it kind of happen organically. And so it's incredible. That's a really good piece of advice. I'm going to take that one home with me today.
Yes. So speaking of ebbing and flowing, so we're seeing a little bit of that in heArt Studios right now. Amanda, tell us what's coming up soon for heArt Studios, or what's in the future.
Yeah, I mean, as most of you know, we had just launched late last year. So late 2020 was when we actually just launched to tell the world, hey, we exist, we're here. And right now we are just heads down in finding what the actual studio location will be, whether it is us purchasing a space or building it. So we are really excited to be working that angle, but obviously along that line, everything comes at a cost, and buildings aren't free, apparently. And so we are just, we're fundraising. We're constantly fundraising. We're reaching out to different companies, different sponsors that would be able to help us out financially. And I just want to, you know, say, Dan, thank you for your heart. Thank you for what you do as an artist. So not only are we looking to people out in the world that can help us financially and do donations, either monthly or one time, or one big giant grant, which would be awesome. We are also reaching out to artists to say, we want to bring you on. We want to champion what you do, but we need you. We need your help in the studio. And so if you are an artist out there in any genre, reach out to us. Send us an email, info@heartstudios.org. And we'll put you on the docket to come down to the studio and, you know, share your talents with the kids that need it most. So that's what we have coming up. I want to just close with thanking you so much for taking the time to be with us today and sharing your heart behind photography, but also drawing. I want to see some of those creations too.
But thank you so much for joining us today, Dan. Thank you, Amanda. It was great to catch up with you both. I'm really excited to see where this is all headed, and just want to thank you one more time once again. So viewers, we want to thank you as well, and we have more videos coming up soon. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.